Welcome to the TechTrends podcast, where we discuss the latest manufacturing, technology, research, and news. Today's episode is sponsored by A&T member meetups. Hi, guys. Did we say we're not doing names?
We'll skip right to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Ramia, in case you were wondering.
I want to talk about artificial intelligence, but the cost of AI. So I just signed up for Copilot, which is built on top of OpenAI because Microsoft has a big majority share of OpenAI and all that nonsense. But I've been testing a bunch of stuff. We use Grammarly, and I was using OpenAI for a while. But I think a lot of people are underestimating that they have like 10 subscriptions to 10 different AI things. Am I wrong on this?
No.
No, so I don't have any AI subscriptions because I don't have a need for it at the moment, right?
Yeah.
And also I'm like terrified that I'm going to use it, and then like, because I'm in grad school right now, and then I'm going to use it, and
Fair.
it's going to run through like plagiarism software, and they're going to be like, what is this? And I'm like, no, I just use it to help. So I don't know how much it costs.
Yep.
I know my brother-in-law is obsessed with AI.
Okay.
He's like giving me financial like readiness presentations basically to help me with like my finances. And I was like, oh, what are they going to be about? He's like, oh, well, Microsoft Copilot's going to decide. And I'm like, oh my God.
Hey, thanks.
So
he's not really doing it. Copilot's
no,
doing it.
exactly. So
And it's funny you mentioned that. I was setting up a poll with some of our committee members to figure out what day we want to do our next meeting.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, Copilot, build me a forum and list the dates that are available, business days, and have a multi-select. Just a forum. And list all the days. I was great. Shipped it out. I was like, I'm in a rush. Got back, hey, Ben, these dates are for 2023. I was like, oh, no. Copilot did me wrong. Why did you send me these dates? But because I was talking to a couple of people here, and we're talking about, they have Otterly, they have, Plod, they have like five different subscriptions going at the same time. Like, what's going on here? Why do you have so many different tools?
Yeah.
I feel like there's just this grab, or you get an ad and they want to try it out. And I think there's a underlying business cost of all this experimentation where we haven't figured out. Sure, some of these AI tools are very specialized. I've been experimenting with generating art and things like that. And Microsoft Designer actually worked really, really well, where I put in 3 words and I said, enhance this prompt. And it gave me a full paragraph. And I was like, these are the things that I want. So enhancing the prompts to get to the image I want, I thought that was a very useful tool, which I feel like that pipeline of put in a couple keywords and then it feeds on that and then it feeds that into an image. That was an interesting kind of feedback loop using AI.
yeah.
But
Well, go ahead.
no, there's like, I feel like a lot of people are signing up for 10 tools. Literally know that each one is like $70 a month.
Yeah.
That's you're almost paying $1,000 for
The
5
same
tools you're
thing.
not using.
So I like Googled it, and they say like a total of like basically AI solution tools, all of them, will range from about $100 to $5,000 per month.
yeah.
And that sounds about right. People
Yep.
are like really shelling out.
Well-
Also, I didn't realize OpenAI charges you by like tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, the amount of calculations or
Bitcoin of
transactions.
them.
Right. I'm like, what? It says charges 0.01 per 1,000 tokens for input text and 0.03 cents per 1,000
That's too much math.
for
That's too much
output
math for me.
text. What does that even
Well,
mean?
it's like the old economy for video games where you have to buy this credit and then you spend that credit. It's like,
Oh.
Okay,
just
that's crazy.
charge me a flat fee. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you had a good point about like how it's killing the environment,
It's
because
absolutely killing our
it's data
environment.
mining,
Yeah.
right? And data
Like-
mining is killing our environment. And I think a lot of people kind of forget that like the amount of energy that it takes for AI is absolutely absurd.
Just for a flamingo wearing headphones.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's
Just-
insane.
just to like compute how much you should like walk in a day or something insane.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
1,287 megawatts.
That's a lot of
per
energy.
hour.
That's why Microsoft bought that nuclear power plant right down the street from us.
Well,
Crazy.
did you guys hear about the Studio Ghibli like?
Oh,
Yes.
man, that's a
Oh
hot
my
mess.
God.
And
Can you
so-
recap that for me real quick?
I mean, from what I understand, I can recap it. And basically, there was like this like video that came out, and it was like advertising AI, I think, and it was all in Studio Ghibli style. And there was a lot of people who came out and said like that. And someone was like, this was all created by AI. This is so cool. And someone said, no, this was not created by AI. This is all work that has already been created
Right.
that is just being basically plagiarized
Yep.
for this purpose. And, so I think that when you think about something as like big as Studio Ghibli, it's like, yeah, you're kind of messing up by just like using such a well-known style.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that they took that art style, which is very, very specific to that studio and that brand, which basically represents that brand. And the owner / creator of the brand said, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
He has no recourse to say, you've taken something from me, copied my brand, and I can't take that back. It's out in the world now. It's completely gone. He's lost it. And he was completely destroyed. It's like, this is not why we built all our films. Like, all their films are like very meticulously designed and drawn. And yet they've created these random images. Like, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting dilemma.
I mean, it comes back to this whole, like, when AI generated images, I think, was becoming big, even just like a couple of years ago. And all these artists were like, this AI is already taking away a lot of my business.
Right.
Because if AI can generate the flamingo wearing headphones, no one's going to pay me to make a flamingo wearing headphones, right? And so, like, I just, like, I've always had issues with AI. I will say, I like when I Google something and the Google AI kind of just summarizes what the findings are, although sometimes I'm like, okay, you definitely did not scrape that correctly, because that cannot be right.
Yeah.
And like one time my sister like Googled something, and like one of the cures or one of like the treatments was like to drink urine. She's like, I don't think that's correct, because it was not related at all. And so it was like, what website was that coming from?
Somebody's Reddit. Somebody's deep dark Reddit post.
So yeah, but I mean, like the Studio Ghibli thing, that's the most, because I remember I literally saw it on like, I think Facebook. And it was, or it was Instagram, and it was just like, it was this big thing where it was like, this is not created by AI. This was created by somebody else.
Yeah. And now they're just like recreating memes that already exist
Yes.
in this like different context. So now you're still stealing the original person's like meme identity, and you're also creating and stealing the art style. And you're just like creating something that one already exists and making something that no one asked for.
Nobody asked for.
Like, please.
Because AI is something that doesn't need to exist. I understand it in like an industrial capacity. I understand it. Using it to automate tasks and to help improve productivity and that kind of stuff, I get. I guess like on the art side is where it really bothers me, because I'm like, these are things that can all be created by an artist.
And I think that does carry on to the industrial world, where we look at the IP, intellectual property, right? So it's starting to get into a gray area of like, if I use this tool, am I creating the IP? Do I own this? Or is this belong in the web? And there's a lot of court cases related to IP control that's using AI to create it. So
I love how Steven's not here, and we're like, you know what sucks? AI.
No counterpoint.
People can talk about AI at our member meetup. Rumia, can you tell us about today's sponsor?
That was such a good segment. Join us on May 7th in Charlotte for one of the many AMT member meetups this year. The 2025 AMT Member Series, in partnership with Women in Manufacturing and NTMA, offers casual after-hours networking events designed to connect professionals from the manufacturing technology sector. Meetups draw a diverse crowd of industry leaders, engineers, and decision-makers from across the field. Go to amtonline.org/events for more.
Thanks, Rumia.
Anytime, Ben.
Alyssa.
Yeah.
Japan is building the world's first 3D printed train station. Is that true?
Yes. So
of course they are.
This is an article on Vice, and what's funny is that it's actually already been built, and it took less than 3 hours to build.
Oh shit.
Less than 3 hours.
Less than 3 hours.
Nice.
So it's located in Wakayama Prefecture. I'm not entirely sure exactly where that is, but it's in Japan. I can tell you that. And so it was built or printed in less than 3 hours, and it cost half as much as traditional concrete. Not only was it cost effective, but it says supposedly in the article, earthquake resistant too, which I've told you guys before, I lived in Japan. Earthquakes are a very regular occurrence. Everything is built to withstand earthquakes. So that's kind of an important feature, of Japanese architecture. I
think the resurgence of 3D printing in construction. I mean, we saw homes 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to see what's the word I'm for, common grounds or more industrial applications. I mean, to be fair, train stations are kind of unique construction, especially in Japan, right? They're very open air, or they have closed tops. So I'm kind of curious to see like the next evolution of this are going to go. Do they have a train that just prints along the station, the rails as they go? And it's like, every couple of hours, print new station where I need it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they did that, it'd be very efficient, I'm sure. It's supposed to officially open in July. It'll begin serving as a crucial gateway for travelers heading to the vacation destination of Jinoshima Island just in time for the summer. Oh gosh, that just did the thing where like the page reloaded. 1 second.
I did find out that Wakayama is 60 miles south of Osaka.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice
okay.
area. Yeah, there's like a harbor down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's far down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty west.
I guess that makes sense because if they're going to an island and then they'll take the train. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. So it says, according to Futurism, many of Japan's metro and regional train services are privately owned and act as property developers that rapidly develop urban areas around transportation hubs. Frankly, it's all a little shocking considering that, as Futurism also points out, whenever a country privatizes its rail transportation, rail service usually gets significantly worse. That's not the case in Japan. If anyone has ever been to Japan, the rail system is you can literally set your watch to it.
Except for the one time I'm there.
Except for the one time you were there.
They
Yes,
knew.
that is true. The one, and I remember you came back and told us that story. Not only was it on a train, it was on the bullet train.
The one train of all trains.
And it
that's
was
never
like
late.
the first time in like 30 something years
Yeah.
that the bullet train has been late for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
when
was
you-
catastrophic.
When
Yeah.
you came back and told us that,
traumatic.
I was like, that is like a once in like a lifetime opportunity.
They're probably still trying to like figure out how that happened
Yeah.
and like fix it to
It's-
make sure it never happens again.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there didn't really have any like pictures of it in the
That's
article, but
So you know what that means? We have to fly to Osaka to find this train
Let's do it.
station, record a podcast
yeah.
over
So
there.
AMC will
ready.
pay for it. It's research for the
Research.
podcast. That'd be so cool if we could do an episode from the 3D printed train station.
I
in
actually
Japan.
did find, I don't know if it's like a picture, but it's like a mock-up of one on CNN Travel. I will figure out a way to clip it and insert it into
Ooh,
this clip.
perfect.
But everyone look at how pretty it looks.
Oh, that's
Oh, I
lovely.
do like
Looks really
that.
nice,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I think there's
I'm very excited about
opportunities because you talked about the time to fab
Mm-hmm.
basically, and most of the industrial manufacturing sites I've been to are not much more than like garages,
yeah.
like metal shelf garages, and I think there's a lot of opportunity between like the utilities running all that within the facade and things like that to 3D print like manufacturing facilities. So it's kind of interesting. I know the military is exploring like printing like forward operating bases and
Yeah.
housing out there. I do think there's like it's going to be an intersection in a couple of years to say premium industrial park.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially in somewhere like Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it was brought to where the station is now. It was brought there in 4 pieces.
Oh, okay.
I think is what the article said.
Interesting.
So it was fabricated and then brought manufactured to the site.
So you don't have to print on site, which is
Yeah.
an interesting dilemma.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to carry the conversation related to kind of robots and 3D printing. So I found an article from MSN on how robots are helping teams like Hendrick Motorsports make better, faster race cars. I like this as a parallel to other industries because motorsports is doing a lot on cutting edge manufacturing that are they're seeing value in basically their race times. Formula One has been pushing the envelope quite a bit on material science like composites, but also with additive. I ran across an article where they looked at a heat exchanger. They reduced like 20% of the weight by going to an additive process.
Wow.
But that requires obviously some design engineering to say what the part should look like and then printing and all that stuff. But I think this is kind of a parallel where they're looking at automating certain things where the volumes are fairly low. Like there's like a single source. So around 85% of the parts used to build NASCAR comes from a single supplier. So it's not like it's really, really small volume. It's not like space volume, but it's probably closer to like aerospace where you're building, a couple of thousand part numbers throughout the year. Maybe throughout the month, but very small lot numbers. But they're looking at automating certain things, and they talk about automating like the metrology lab, automating things that are not seen as value add to get them through that process as quickly as possible. So they launched some robot scanners and some other equipment to process the parts quickly through metrology. Also simple stuff like using QR codes on the part themselves and using that to identify the parts throughout the entire process. So I thought it was a really interesting article on the evolution of motorsports NASCAR's fine. I don't watch it, but it is a decent volume production, and the production that involves in NASCAR is very fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So.
I love this article because we are doing a thing with Hexagon and Hendrick Motorsports, and I'm so excited to go and see all of this stuff. But I just think it's so cool that they're able to like use robots and like machining and to make things faster and easier. And I'm just excited to be there.
Is this related to the car that they brought to IMTS? Was that with Hendrick Motorsports as well?
Yeah.
Hexagon brought in a different car. Hexagon brought in the Singer 21 hypercar.
Okay.
They may have had the
There's
NASCAR on a different side,
Mm-hmm.
but the one they had in the metrology section was their hypercar.
Okay.
Which is another cool scenario where you do small lots. And I think that's a growing trend that we're seeing in automation is pushing, well, instead of doing like automation for automotive where you produce millions and millions of parts, of more flexible automation to produce like 10 parts and then switch to the next part number, which is completely different shapes, right? So you switch all your tooling, switch all your end effectors, that type of scenario. So it was fascinating. I really liked the article, and I'm curious to see how this progresses into other sectors. Defense is growing really big, where it's like a really high mix of part numbers. Of course, aerospace and some other sectors are growing that quite a bit.
In the article, it says these 33 absolute arms and 7 CMMs and
yeah.
13 scanners, which is so crazy to me.
Yeah, the volume that they have is pretty high. Yeah,
It's got to be a huge place.
Yeah, we'll find out when we get there. So, Ramia, where can they find more info about us?
TechTrends.amtonline.org. Like, share, subscribe.
Bing
Bye,
bong.
everyone.
Bye, guys.